I'm William Kumwembe with Business Time. It is a magazine program where we bring you business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And coming up in the program today, public debt outlook worries economists as there are concerns that Malawi could face a number of challenges in the near future. And also in the program, we look at the effects of eroding buying power on cost of living as pressure mounts on households. We have these and other stories. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and I'm William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, Malawi's public debt may aggravate amid risks that include pre- and post-election spending and geopolitical factors. The International Monetary Fund and local experts have warned. This comes as public debt is estimated at between 85 and 90% of gross domestic product. Available statistics show that as at September 2024, public debt was at 16.2 trillion kwacha, representing 86.4% of the GDP. Discussing the public debt situation recently in Lilongwe, Economics Association of Malawi Executive Director Esme Kanyumbu said the debt situation is worrying amid signs of heavy post-election spending. Kingsley Jassy caught up with Kanyumbu in this interview.
The main objective is for CSOs to air their views on public debt. We've noted that public debt levels are very high and sustainable, and the IMF has described the situation as unsustainable and distress. And knowing that servicing of public debt takes a lot of resources that would be channeled to productive sectors of the economy, as CSOs, we are concerned about the situation, and we think that something should be done, and there will be discussions around that. And as you've noted, we have also called the political parties to take part in this, to hear the message that something needs to be done about public debt. And as they are conducting their debates, they are sending their manifestos, they should also look into issues of public debt. Suggestions are so many, but I cannot give suggestions per se. There will be discussions that, from the discussions. As you have seen, my presentation just talked about possible solutions, talking about maybe zero deficit budgets, maybe asking for debt restructuring, debt forgiveness. There are so many options. So we believe that if the message gets to the relevant authority, they will think about all these options and maybe see what is feasible. Some of the factors have been, government infrastructure. Most of infrastructure in Malawi, they are short-term. They don't take long. You build a road today, maybe after a few years, you are back on the same road, constructing the same road. And also, there's mismanagement sometimes in resources. Just to give one example for the cash gate that we had. But we've had shocks recently. You may recall we had COVID-19, had the cyclones, we had the cholera outbreak, which have also forced government maybe to spend beyond what was planned.
Property development firm Eris Properties Malawi has called for collaboration in unlocking real estate potential in the country. The firm's chief executive officer, Washington Chimozu, made the call on Friday at the business breakfast hosted with its sister company, Icon Properties PLC. He said real estate remains a long-term investment avenue for growth and development.
As you well know, Icon was listed on the stock exchange, Malawi Stock Exchange in 2019, and Eris came onto the market about 8 years ago. Since then, we have not had ample opportunities to engage with clients to showcase what exactly these two companies do, what exactly how can they help developers, businesses and so on to make the most of their property investments. And so we thought there was a gap in terms of knowledge and awareness, and we needed to close that by having this engagement this morning. There are several gaps. So from a knowledge point of view or awareness point of view, there was that gap, and I believe this morning has somehow addressed that gap. But obviously we do need to reach out to more, and we will be reaching out to more people out there in the market. within the market and within the ecosystem itself, there are gaps in terms of so property owners who do not know fully what options they have to add value to their properties, but also those with the financing to understand what gaps there are to leverage the opportunities that are there in the real estate sector. And this also covers those in diaspora who want to invest back home. We want to say to them and to those who are based here that there are a lot of opportunities. But for those opportunities to be realized, we need to find ways of unlocking the value. And so the discussion today has been about how do we unlock the value? And we've showcased our capabilities, our experience, and also our position in the market to be able to unlock the value and create opportunities for all developers. So when economic shocks happen, you tend to see a loss of value or depreciation in value. Real estate has a way of holding value over time. Every day, everywhere, people need places to stay. Businesses need premises to operate from, schools, hospitals, and all that. And so the need for accommodation in any of these sectors or classes is there, has always been there, and will always be there. And so its ability to bounce back from shocks is far much better than other classes of investments. So if you look at the real estate landscape, it is one that is, I would say, complex. It's got its complexities in terms of how one can maneuver. You talk about acquiring land, to developing it, to managing it. And so Eris Properties, for example, has the expertise to help clients maneuver that complexity, get through that complexity, and therefore realize the full value of such investments. On the other hand, companies like Icon Properties offer investors an opportunity to invest in the real estate sector simply by buying shares in that particular stock, which has got, as you saw today, currently 35 prime properties across the 4 cities in the country. There are a number of ways that Eris comes into that space. Through our advisory services, we're able to offer advice to clients to be able to guide them to make the right decisions regarding what kind of investment, what level of investment. With our partners within the Nico Group, Nico Capital and Nico Asset Managers, for example, we're able to raise capital, go as far as raising capital for different classes of projects, subject to obviously them meeting the feasibility study findings or results. On the other hand, Icon Properties already owns prime properties in the CBD, so whether it's in Lilongwe or in Blantyre. And as a company that's got a pipeline of projects, we're looking at opportunities to expand the footprint. And so we are looking at ways of redeveloping existing properties or indeed investing in new properties in the cities. Several factors that contribute towards occupancy. Now, I am proud to say that when we look at the portfolio for Icon Properties, we are standing at not less than 95% occupancy, essentially meaning that all our buildings are pretty much occupied. But as the economy goes through different stages, so cyclical stages, so sometimes when the economy is doing well, you'll find that properties are fully occupied. When the economy takes a dip, companies close or scale down, and so you see occupancy rates decreasing. In other words, more buildings being vacated. So there are different factors, but primarily these are in response to the state or the state of the economy at any given point in time. And how can we hedge against that? So as Icon Properties, one of the things that we do have in place is a mechanism for making sure that our properties are occupied as to the fullest level possible at any given point in time. Our spaces are flexible and constantly responding to customer needs, but also the state of the economy at any given point in time. This is a real challenge, but it is one that we are finding ways or have ways to deal with. So the village banking groups, as they are popularly known, they mobilize resources on a monthly basis throughout the year. And at the end during the course of the year, they use those resources to undertake different projects, personal or group projects, whatever the case might be. And then at the end of the year, you find them disbursing those resources that they have raised, any gains that they have realized throughout the course of the year. What we're saying is, perhaps those groups need to consider investing in real estate. They need to consider investing in housing, even if it means in the first year they invest in a piece of land, in the second year they invest in developing that land to whatever level that they can invest it until that property is complete and they can have tenants in there, or they can indeed sell it. They can build to sell. What that does is it's one way of holding value for whatever monies that they have raised throughout the course of the year, but it's also one way of generating revenues over time. So it's an opportunity that we would like to see more of such groups venturing into that space, as opposed to maybe other things that they are currently doing.
Remember, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. When we get back, we'll look at how the eroding buying power is affecting households and cost of living surge. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program, recent figures from the Employers Conservative Association of Malawi indicate that a family of 6 living in an urban setting required 905,606 kwacha to comfortably survive in the month of July. This comes as cost of living has been on an upward spiral in the recent past. At 27.1%, headline inflation, the rate at which commodity prices change at a given period in an economy, has also been rising, except for the past 4 months. But how many Malawians can afford this? This is a question our journalist Kumwembe Mangazi attempts in this report.
Ndirande Township is one of the densely populated townships in Blantyre. Most of the people that live in this township survive by pieceworks, and indeed those that enjoy white-collar jobs are not enjoying jobs that can give them 906,000 kwacha a month to be able to support their families. I've mentioned this figure because it is what the Employers Conservative Association of Malawi has given out as what a family of 6 needed to survive in the month of July. But how are they surviving?
Rising prices have affected our incomes and the ability to meet dietary requirements for our homes. Even with the little incomes we make, it is not enough to feed our households.
Life is tough even for us who are doing business. Right now, sales have slowed due to rising prices of commodities. This has also affected how we are able to support our families. The government should work on reducing commodity prices.
Issues concerning about rising of prices. It's a big challenge us as people for this country to say how are we going to be surviving in terms of there's so many things that we need each and every day which we are not able to accommodate using the rising of prices each and every day. Because today you might go at a shop, you want to access maybe groceries or something like that, or let's just say food resources. It's not going to be easy for you to say maybe you manage a day that you find 5,000 or less than that, or maybe let's say 10,000 according to the things that you do. Even if you go at a shop, you're not going to be able to buy maybe 2 or 3 things with that amount, which is causing a big challenge concerning how we manage to get money in our country.
Consumers Association of Malawi Executive Director John Capito holds that in the current situation, families are forced to trim their budgets. He emphasizes the need for financial education among most of the Malawians, for them to be able to know what really they need in their families and be able to focus on getting that for their survival and indeed live out wants that they may get month to month. When all is said and done, there is need for the authorities to rise to the occasion and save Malawians from the rising cost of commodity prices.
Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Reserve Bank of Malawi maintained the policy rate, the rate at which commercial banks use when borrowing from the central bank as the lender of last resort at 26%. The decision was made during the MPC's third meeting of 2025 held on July 30th and 31st to review recent economic developments and assess the inflation outlook. The committee noted a decline in inflation from 30.7% in February to 27.1% in June 2025 as a key factor to arrive at the decision. Central bank officials have been engaging stakeholders on the MPC decisions. RBM Director of Financial Markets is Chakudza Linje.
The policy rate will move depending on fundamentals on the ground. The way the risk factors are there on the ground is what will determine the MPC decision. So the policy rate is not taken based on sentiment. It's taken on figures, it's taken on surveys, it's taken on information from the business sector, from government, from financial sector. So that would determine the direction of the policy rate. Currently, MPC maintained it at 26 because they want the deceleration to be faster. At the next MPC, they will decide based on the information that will come out from the surveys. Currently, there is no directive to commercial banks on how they can allocate foreign currency. It's a business decision for them. They allocate based on their own analysis and assessment. As a central bank, our intervention mainly goes to ATMM as well as strategic commodities. But there was some meetings that were held between small-scale businesses and the Ministry of Trade and Industry. I think through that channel, there are some issues that were communicated to the central bank that the central bank is assessing to see how we can assist small-scale businesses. We are going through some turbulence, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like we said, inflation has declined quarter on quarter. The main reason the rate was held is we want that decline to be faster. There are some risks that have been identified, but those risks are manageable. So in as much as we are going through kind of a high inflation environment, there is hope, and there are some activities that are being done to make sure that some of the plans that are on the ground are being realized. The focus is on production because we believe that through production we're going to increase foreign exchange supply in the country. We can do that through increase of exports as well as import substitution. Currently, we are facing foreign currency shortages because Malawi does not produce enough. Malawi does not export enough. So because of that, the focus has been on production so that we boost our own productive capacity and in turn increase the foreign currency supply in the country. The issue that came out during the forum was the cost of production itself in the country because of the environment that we're currently in. We did inform the forum that we have some initiatives where we are bringing together financiers as well as those that have bankable projects that will increase production. And part of the discussion is on how we can finance those productions at levels that will encourage more people to come into the productive sector and not necessarily be restrictive. So we do understand the constraints and the risks. That is why we held that symposium on 22nd July to try and ensure that those that have bankable products are brought to the fore and those that have investing capacity are aware of those products, and then behind the scenes we're now discussing how they can be financed in a way that boosts production and increases or at least innovates more people to come to the table.
One of the participants at the Mzuzu engagement, Patrick Kuyokwa, a farmer, said there is a need for deliberate policies that would help reduce costs of production. He said the current production costs hinder countries' capacity to produce more.
With the general production being high, we produce less, and then the prices will be high depending on demand. And then that also feeds into less export. Because when you're exporting, you don't just look at the local prices, you look at the prices at the international market. So for you to export, let's say, beans for Malawi, you find that the prices are higher for Malawi because it's better to sell locally than on the international market. So my concern was around what factors or what policy recommendation the bank has to the government or to other ministries in terms of lowering the cost of production for an average Malawian. I think we are capable of producing enough because we have a lot of arable land and other factors of production are lower for us. But most of our initiatives are focused on land-fed agriculture, so there is less effort towards other seasons within the year. So the mega farms are mostly focused on land-fed agriculture, but then we haven't done much in terms of production. If you look at our prices in the first quarters or the first 2 quarters, you realize that the prices are lower because we're dependent on land-fed agriculture. But if you look at the last quarters, it means that the prices will be high. So we are capable of producing more, just that we need to lower our factors of production and then produce at scale. Because in the agricultural industry, if we are to really lower the prices, we have to produce more.
Well, with that story, we've also come to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Thank you for watching, but always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and goodbye for now.